For years, fans have whispered about the legendary John Bonham, the heart-pounding drummer of Led Zeppelin, whose beats made hearts race and rocked the world. But what if I told you there's a side to him that few have ever glimpsed? John Paul Jones, the band's enigmatic bassist, is finally revealing untold stories and insights about Bonham that could change everything you thought you knew. Bonham wasn't just a powerhouse drummer with explosive beats. Behind those thundering rhythms was a complex man with layers you never expected. Who was the real John Bonham, beyond the wild antics and the explosive performances? What was his personality like when the music stopped? And what drove him to create some of the most iconic beats in rock history? Prepare to dive deep into the vibrant, chaotic world of one of rock's most legendary drummers. What you uncover may surprise you, challenging everything you thought you knew about him. Was Bonham just a fiery drummer, or was there a side of him, hidden from the spotlight, that few people ever got to know? Get ready to take a closer look at the man behind the drum kit and the myths surrounding him. John Bonham wasn't merely a drummer. He was an elemental force of nature, a living embodiment of raw energy. When he took to the stage, something magical happened. Every performance became a spellbinding spectacle, with his feet relentlessly pounding out rhythms that could be felt deep in your bones, and his arms delivering explosive fills that hit like thunder. Bonham's presence was undeniable. His physicality and power behind the kit were unmatched, captivating audiences and leaving them in awe. His performances, sometimes fueled by alcohol, weren't just about technical skill or precision. They were an experience in themselves, a sonic storm that could shake you to the core and leave you breathless. Bonham's sound was distinctive, unique, and instantly recognizable. His deep, resonating bass drum kicks had a thunderous presence, while his lightning-fast snare hits cut through the music like a whip, creating a rhythm that defined Led Zeppelin's identity. It was never just noise, it was an atmosphere he crafted. When Bonham played, you didn't just hear the drums, you felt them in your chest, vibrating through your very being. His rhythms stirred emotions deep within the listener, creating a visceral connection that few musicians could replicate. Anyone who had the privilege of playing with or watching Bonham perform could attest to the magnetic force he exuded. He wasn't just a drummer, he was a presence. When Bonham sat behind his kit, everything else faded away. His bandmates often described watching him as an almost spiritual experience, as though they were witnessing something larger than life itself. The iconic Whole Lotta Love breakdown, for example, captured his raw energy in its purest form. Intense, powerful, and utterly unpredictable. It wasn't just a moment of musical brilliance. It was an invitation to feel the music, to be part of it, to be swept away by his energy. What truly set Bonham apart, however, was the unpredictability he brought to every performance. He wasn't content with merely playing the same beats night after night. Bonham was a fearless experimenter, blending styles from jazz to rock and everything in between. His versatility kept listeners and even his bandmates on their toes. No two performances were ever the same. His ability to shift between complex rhythms and thunderous rock anthems, seamlessly weaving an element from various genres, kept both fans and critics captivated, never quite sure what Bonham would do next. But beyond the dazzling solos and the powerful rhythms, what truly elevated Bonham's presence was his heartbeat, his very essence. He was the pulse of Led Zeppelin, the driving force behind every song, pushing the band to new heights with every beat. Bonham wasn't just heard, he was felt in every note. He was the foundation upon which Led Zeppelin was built, and his intensity, passion, and energy defined their sound in a way that no one else could replicate. His presence didn't just reverberate in the music, it reverberated in the hearts of the audience, continuing to resonate with fans and musicians alike, long after the music had stopped. In essence, John Bonham wasn't simply a drummer. He was the heartbeat of rock itself, powerful, unrelenting, and unforgettable. The synergy between John Paul Jones and John Bonham was nothing short of extraordinary. They weren't merely bandmates fulfilling their respective roles. They were musical partners who operated on an almost telepathic level. The foundation of Led Zeppelin's unmistakable sound rested upon their dynamic interplay, where Jones' intricate bass lines and fluid keyboard work seamlessly intertwined with Bonham's thunderous yet precise drumming. Jones, a classically trained and versatile musician, possessed a remarkable instinct for adapting to Bonham's rhythms. He didn't just follow the beat, he elevated it, molding his playing to complement Bonham's powerful, groove-heavy drumming. Whether it was the pulsating drive of Whole Lotta Love, the hypnotic sway of Kashmir, or the sheer force of Black Dog, their collaboration provided the backbone of some of rock's most iconic songs. What set them apart was their unspoken musical dialogue. On stage, they didn't need to exchange glances or signals. They instinctively knew where the other was going, responding in real time with effortless precision. Bonham's explosive fills and syncopated rhythms pushed Jones to explore unconventional bass lines, while Jones' inventive approach allowed Bonham to unleash his signature style. Massive yet controlled, raw yet methodical. This chemistry wasn't just confined to live performances. In the studio, their sessions often felt like spontaneous jam explorations, where ideas flowed naturally. Bonham's drumming wasn't just about power, it was about feel. His sense of groove and dynamics allowed Jones to construct bass lines that danced between melody and rhythm, giving Led Zeppelin's sound its distinctive weight and fluidity. Songs like Ramble On and The Lemon Song stand as testaments to their ability to push each other's musical boundaries. Yet, their partnership was more than technical proficiency. It was driven by a genuine camaraderie and shared passion for music. Offstage, they spent countless hours jamming, experimenting, and refining their craft. Jones often recalls how their late-night sessions, sometimes deep in the countryside, sometimes in the buzzing heart of the studio, led to unexpected breakthroughs. We fed off each other's energy, he reflected, acknowledging how Bonham's rhythmic intensity inspired him to tap into deeper creative wells. Bonham, often hailed as one of the greatest drummers in rock history, wasn't just a force of nature behind the kit. He was a catalyst for Jones' musical ideas. In turn, Jones provided the melodic and harmonic foundation that allowed Bonham's drumming to achieve its full potential. This mutual reinforcement was pivotal in shaping Led Zeppelin's monumental sound. Their partnership wasn't just crucial to Led Zeppelin, it changed the landscape of rock music. Together, they crafted a rhythm section that was as dynamic as it was powerful, as intricate as it was primal. Their ability to merge precision with spontaneity, technique with raw emotion, remains unparalleled. Even decades after Bonham's passing, their legacy echoes through generations of musicians, inspiring countless artists across genres. While Led Zeppelin's journey was ultimately cut short, the music they created together continues to resonate, proving that the right partnership can redefine an era. Jones and Bonham weren't just a bassist and a drummer. They were the heartbeat of Led Zeppelin, an inseparable force that gave the band its legendary pulse. When you think of rock stars, you often picture wild lives filled with excess, rebellion, and moments of sheer chaos. John Bonham didn't just fit this mold, he defined it. He wasn't merely Led Zeppelin's powerhouse drummer. He was its uncontrollable force of nature, bringing the same ferocity to his offstage antics as he did to his playing. Whether in the studio, on tour, or at legendary afterparties, Bonham had a knack for turning even the most mundane moments into stories that would be retold for generations. Bonham's spontaneity knew no bounds, especially when it came to breaking the monotony of long recording sessions. While most musicians sought inspiration through conventional means, Bonham had his own approach, one that often involved fire, destruction, and a touch of madness. One of the most infamous moments occurred during a late-night jam session, where Bonham, in the middle of an intense recording take, decided to set off a firecracker inside the studio. The explosion sent his bandmates and crew into a frenzy, leaving behind ringing ears and a haze of smoke. But instead of regret, Bonham roared with laughter, reveling in the chaos he had just orchestrated. That was his spirit, always pushing boundaries, creating energy, and making sure no moment was forgettable. Bonham's wild nature wasn't confined to recording studios. It spilled over into life on the road, often quite literally. One of the most legendary tales involves a reckless yet unforgettable night during a Led Zeppelin tour. After indulging in a night of heavy drinking and celebration, Bonham, in a moment of impulsive bravado, decided that he should be the one to drive the band's tour bus. With a roaring laugh and an air of invincibility, he climbed behind the wheel, despite the collective and slightly terrified protests of his bandmates. As the bus wobbled down the road in the dead of night, the scene was equal parts terrifying and hilarious. A moment where Bonham's reckless charm and sheer unpredictability were on full display. Somehow, through a mix of luck, instinct, and rock and roll magic, they survived the adventure, with Bonham laughing all the way through. Bonham wasn't just the heartbeat of Led Zeppelin on stage. He was the unrelenting source of energy offstage as well. He threw some of the wildest parties in rock history, where hotel rooms were trashed, alcohol flowed endlessly, and mayhem reigned supreme. There are countless stories of Bonham riding motorcycles through hallways, destroying furniture with an almost artistic passion, and engaging in outrageous pranks that left no one, bandmates, roadies, or hotel staff, safe from his mischief. One particularly legendary night involved Bonham in a hotel swimming pool. Fueled by both adrenaline and alcohol, he took an impromptu dive, not into the water, but into a drum solo right next to it. As drinks were spilled and chaos ensued, Bonham simply continued playing, fully immersed in the rhythm, while a crowd of rock stars, groupies, and roadies cheered him on. Yet, for all the hilarity and legendary tales, Bonham's wild side was also a double-edged sword. His insatiable need for excitement, combined with an unchecked lifestyle of heavy drinking, sometimes led to darker moments, ones that hinted at deeper struggles beneath the confident, party-loving exterior. While his antics were often fueled by an infectious joy, they were also a mask for personal battles that few truly understood. The same excess that made him the life of the party also took a toll on his health, his relationships, and ultimately, his fate. John Bonham lived fast, played hard, and left an unforgettable mark on rock history. His antics weren't just random acts of recklessness. They were a testament to his unrelenting passion for life, music, and the pure thrill of the moment. Though his time was tragically cut short, the stories of his wild adventures endure, reminding us that he was more than just a drummer. He was a true rock and roll legend, both on and off the stage. And as we peel back the layers of his larger-than-life persona, we begin to ask, was Bonham simply a free spirit embracing the rock star life? Or was there something deeper driving his need for constant adrenaline? Stay tuned as we explore the complexities behind the chaos, the man behind the madness. Beneath the larger-than-life persona, the wild antics, and the effortless charisma, John Bonham was, at his core, a relentless perfectionist. He wasn't just a drummer. He was an architect of sound, obsessed with refining every beat, every fill, and every nuance until it reached an unparalleled level of precision. His greatness didn't stem from raw talent alone. It was forged through tireless dedication, unyielding discipline, and an insatiable hunger for musical excellence. For Bonham, drumming wasn't just about keeping time. It was about elevating the music, injecting power, groove, and emotion into every track. This commitment often meant grueling hours of practice, long past the point when others would have called it a day. His bandmates and close friends recall nights when Bonham would lock himself away with his drum kit, experimenting with rhythms and techniques until he either perfected them or exhausted himself completely. There was no such thing as good enough in Bonham's world. He would obsess over the smallest details, fine-tuning his performance until he achieved the exact feel he envisioned. He wasn't satisfied with just playing a beat. He needed to make it resonate, to ensure that every kick, snare, and cymbal hit carried weight and meaning. This perfectionism was especially evident in the recording studio, where Bonham's unyielding pursuit of the perfect take was both legendary and, at times, frustrating for those around him. He was known to demand multiple retakes, not because he was dissatisfied with his playing, but because he knew he could push it further, make it even better. One of the most iconic examples of Bonham's studio perfectionism is the recording of When the Levee Breaks. He experimented tirelessly with drum placements, microphone techniques, and the acoustics of the recording space until he captured the now legendary booming, cavernous drum sound that has since become one of the most imitated in rock history. This was Bonham's signature. He didn't settle for what sounded good. He pursued what sounded immortal. For Bonham, drumming wasn't just about technique, it was about feeling. He believed that a great drummer had to evoke emotion through their playing, making the listener not just hear the rhythm, but feel it in their bones. Whether it was the raw energy of Immigrant Song, the hypnotic groove of Kashmir, or the explosive fills in Good Times, Bad Times, Bonham had an unmatched ability to inject personality and passion into every beat. He drew inspiration from his surroundings, whether it was the roar of an engine, the pulse of a crowd, or the rhythm of nature itself, and translated it into powerful, dynamic drumming. His ability to turn a simple jam session into a transcendent experience was part of what made him so revered among musicians. Despite his rigorous work ethic, Bonham was not a joyless perfectionist. In fact, when he finally nailed a difficult passage, the sheer elation on his face was contagious. It wasn't just about achieving perfection, it was about the journey of pushing himself beyond his limits, and in doing so, inspiring those around him to do the same. His bandmates and producers often spoke of the unspoken energy in the room when Bonham was in the zone, fully immersed in his playing. When he achieved something particularly challenging, he would let out a triumphant laugh, sometimes even throwing his drumsticks in the air in celebration. It was in these moments that Bonham's love for his craft shone the brightest. John Bonham's perfectionism didn't just shape his own career, it set a new standard for rock drumming. His influence redefined the role of the drummer, proving that the rhythm section wasn't just there to support the music, it could drive it, transform it, and elevate it to new heights. Today, his legacy lives on in every drummer who refuses to settle for mediocrity, in every musician who obsesses over the details, and in every artist who strives to push their craft to the next level. Bonham didn't just play the drums. He set the bar for what drumming could be. And though he left the world far too soon, his influence remains immortal, echoing through every thunderous kick drum, every intricate groove, and every musician who dares to chase perfection just as he did. The untimely death of John Bonham, at just 32 years old, sent shockwaves through the music world. It wasn't just the loss of Led Zeppelin's drummer. It was the loss of a musical titan, a man whose playing had redefined the very essence of rock drumming. His passing marked a tragic turning point, not just for the band, but for rock music as a whole. Bonham's death on September 25, 1980, forced Led Zeppelin to confront a painful truth. They could not exist without him. Unlike many bands that soldier on after losing a key member, Zeppelin chose to disband, recognizing that Bonham was not just a drummer. He was the heartbeat of their sound, the force that drove their music forward. In an official statement, the band declared, "We wish it to be known that the loss of our dear friend and the deep sense of undivided harmony felt by ourselves and our manager have led us to decide that we could not continue as we were." For Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, and John Paul Jones, Bonham wasn't just a bandmate, he was a brother. Jones later recalled the deep bond they shared, reflecting on the camaraderie, the laughter, and the unspoken musical connection that made Zeppelin's rhythm section one of the greatest in history. Without Bonham, the chemistry that had propelled them to legendary status was simply irreplaceable. While his physical presence was gone, Bonham's influence only grew stronger. His powerful, innovative drumming became the gold standard for generations of musicians. Drummers across all genres, rock, metal, funk, even hip-hop, continue to cite him as one of their biggest inspirations. Dave Grohl, Nirvana, Foo Fighters, has repeatedly called Bonham his greatest influence, incorporating Bonham-esque power and groove into his own drumming. Neil Peart, Rush, praised Bonham's ability to merge raw energy with technical brilliance. Chad Smith, Red Hot Chili Peppers, has often spoken of Bonham's swing and feel, an element that separates him from drummers who merely play fast or loud. Even producers and DJs in electronic and hip-hop music have sampled Bonham's legendary beats. Most notably, the When a Levee Breaks drum track, which has been used in hundreds of songs from Beastie Boys to Eminem. Bonham's signature sound, thunderous yet controlled, intricate yet primal, became the blueprint for rock drumming. His ability to balance sheer power with remarkable finesse and groove ensured that his style remained relevant long after his time. But Bonham's legacy isn't just about technique or influence, it's about what he represented. He embodied the rebellious, untamed spirit of rock and roll, pushing the limits both on and off the stage. His presence symbolized an era of raw, unfiltered creativity, where musicians weren't just performers, but forces of nature who lived and breathed their art. Even today, young drummers aspire not just to play like Bonham, but to be Bonham, to bring that same fire, passion, and fearlessness to their own music. His impact is measured not just in the songs he recorded, but in the countless musicians he continues to inspire. John Bonham may have left the world far too soon, but his spirit lives on in every explosive drum fill, every seismic groove, and every musician who dares to play with heart and intensity. His drumming wasn't just heard. It was felt, an earthquake in every note, a testament to the power of music when played with absolute conviction. And though the man himself is gone, his beat will never stop, because legends never truly fade away. They just keep echoing through the ages. John Bonham's drumming transcended generations, leaving an indelible mark on the world of music. Every time a drummer sits down to play, the echoes of Bonham's intricate beats and explosive fills can be felt. Bands like Foo Fighters and Soundgarden have cited him as a major influence, underlining how his technical prowess and powerful style redefined modern drumming. The double bass pedal technique that he masterfully utilized has become a standard in rock music today, inspiring countless aspiring musicians to push their limits. Online tutorials and masterclasses often dissect his iconic drum solos, proving that his approach remains relevant. The sheer energy he brought to each performance continues to resonate in contemporary music, making drummers strive for that raw intensity he embodied. From jazz to heavy metal, Bonham's rhythms can be found lurking in the corners of every genre. His legacy isn't just about the music he played. It's about the spirit of fearless creativity and unyielding dedication he sparked in countless artists. Each new generation of drummers honors his memory, proving that while Bonham may have left this world too soon, his influence is alive and well. From young musicians picking up the sticks for the first time to seasoned pros seeking inspiration, the spirit of Bonham drives them forward, ensuring that his contributions to music will echo for years to come. Reflecting on John Bonham's life and enduring legacy, it's abundantly clear that he was so much more than just a drummer. He was a one-of-a-kind talent whose influence reverberates across generations, shaping not only the sound of Led Zeppelin, but also setting an unmatched standard for drummers around the world. His remarkable ability to blend raw, thunderous power with moments of delicate nuance created a musical style that defined an era and continues to inspire. Whether it was the wild antics that brought laughter to the studio or the tireless dedication that pushed him to perfect every beat, Bonham's spirit is still felt today in every drum solo and rhythm played. As we celebrate his extraordinary contributions to music, we're reminded that while Bonham may have left us far too soon, his presence is far from gone. His music, filled with life and energy, and the unforgettable memories of his vibrant personality, will continue to inspire and captivate audiences for years to come. In the end, Bonham's legacy isn't simply about the beats he created. It's about the joy, the connection, and the undeniable force of music that he shared with the world. So, as you listen to those timeless Zeppelin tracks, remember the heartbeat that drives them, and let that rhythm live on in your own heart, forever reminding us of a legend that is John Bonham.